Something unusual is happening in California, and it is not loud enough to dominate headlines, but it is persistent enough to reshape entire cities. Places that spent decades attracting new residents are now seeing a steady outflow, not a collapse, not a sudden exodus, but a quiet, consistent shift that shows up in housing turnover, moving patterns, and local conversations. Here is the contradiction. Many of these cities still look extremely desirable on paper. Strong economies, recognizable names, and good weather, the kind of places people still say they want to move to. So why are locals increasingly saying they cannot stay? And more importantly, what does daily life actually feel like once the novelty wears off? Let's start the countdown. Number 10, Fresno. Fresno sells affordability, or at least it used to. Compared to coastal California, it still looks like a deal. Lower home prices, more space, and a cost of entry that feels realistic for many first-time buyers. But here is where expectations start to shift. In recent years, prices have risen faster than local wages, not dramatically all at once, but steadily enough that the gap is becoming noticeable. What used to feel like a clear advantage now feels more like a narrowing window. Daily life reflects that pressure. Summers are intensely hot, and air quality is often reported as among the worst in the region. People plan their days around heat, not convenience, and that changes how a place feels over time. It is still cheaper than most of California, but the gap is no longer as forgiving as people expect. Number 9, Stockton. Stockton sells second chances. For years, it attracted people priced out of the Bay Area, offering larger homes and a sense that you could reset financially without leaving Northern California entirely. But here is the catch. Housing costs have climbed significantly, and the commute into the Bay Area has not become any easier. If anything, many reports suggest it has become more unpredictable, so the trade-off becomes very real. You might save on housing at first, but that saving slowly gets absorbed by gas, time, and the kind of daily fatigue that builds over months, not days. Compared to Fresno, Stockton has better proximity to major job centers, which sounds like a clear advantage until you experience how much of your week is spent getting to them. Number 8 is Bakersfield, and Bakersfield sells space and simplicity. It is one of the few places in California where homeownership still feels somewhat attainable, especially for families who want room to grow. But this is where things get complicated. The local economy is heavily tied to energy and agriculture, both of which can be volatile, and many reports suggest income growth has not kept pace with rising costs. Daily life can feel isolated, summers are extremely hot, air quality concerns appear regularly, and entertainment options are limited compared to larger cities. There is also a small detail that tends to stick with people. During certain summer weeks, errands are planned around temperature spikes rather than schedules, which sounds manageable at first, until it becomes part of your routine. Here comes number 7, Sacramento. Sacramento sells balance, like state jobs, relative affordability, and proximity to both the Bay Area and the mountains create an image of stability. On paper, it still looks like one of California's more reasonable choices. But here is where the story shifts. In recent years, housing demand surged as Bay Area residents moved inland, and prices followed quickly. What used to feel like a value now feels more like a compromise. Daily life includes rising rents, increased competition for housing, and infrastructure that is adjusting to faster growth than expected. Compared to Bakersfield, Sacramento offers more opportunity and diversity, but it also brings a level of competition that many longtime residents did not anticipate. And this is where a pattern starts to emerge, because places that once absorbed overflow are now feeling overflow themselves. Number 6, Riverside. Riverside sells accessibility. It sits close enough to Los Angeles to stay connected while offering slightly lower housing costs and more suburban space. But here is the catch. Close enough often translates into long commutes, and traffic is consistently reported as one of the biggest daily frustrations. For many residents, hours each week are spent just getting to work and back. Housing is no longer the bargain it once was, and insurance costs especially related to wildfire risk in surrounding areas, have added another layer of expense. Daily life becomes a trade-off between space and time, and over time, time tends to feel more valuable. Compared to Sacramento, Riverside has warmer weather and more expansion, but it also depends more heavily on commuting. Halftime, number 5. Oakland sells culture and proximity. Like it offers Bay Area access with a distinct identity, strong communities, and a long history of creative energy. But this is where things become uneven. In recent years, many reports suggest rising housing costs have collided with ongoing concerns about public safety and infrastructure strain. Daily life can feel inconsistent. One neighborhood shows clear signs of investment, while another feels like it has been left behind. There is a small but telling pattern that locals often describe. People know which streets feel comfortable at night and which ones do not based on official data, but based on lived experience. Compared to Riverside, Oakland has stronger job access and more cultural depth, but it also carries more visible urban challenges. Number 4, San Bernardino. San Bernardino sells affordability within Southern California, like lower home prices, and larger lots create the impression that it is one of the last accessible areas in the region. But the numbers tell a more complicated story. Economic recovery has been uneven, and many areas still struggle with job availability and infrastructure investment. Public services often feel stretched, and progress can seem slower than in nearby cities. Daily life reflects that imbalance, like people often travel longer distances for better employment, and local opportunities can feel limited. Compared to Oakland, San Bernardino has fewer cost pressures, but it also offers fewer pathways forward, and that trade-off becomes more noticeable over time. Come over. It's number 3, Los Angeles. And Los Angeles sells possibilities like entertainment, culture, and global influence, make it one of the most recognized cities in the world. But here is the structural issue. The cost of living is consistently reported as among the highest in the country. Housing affordability remains a major challenge, and traffic is not just an inconvenience, it shapes daily life. Commutes are long, parking is unpredictable, and many residents organize their schedules around avoiding congestion rather than optimizing their day. There is also a quiet shift happening. Some people are not leaving because they dislike Los Angeles. They are leaving because maintaining a stable, predictable lifestyle there has become increasingly difficult. Compared to San Bernardino, Los Angeles offers far more opportunity, but that opportunity comes with a level of pressure that not everyone is willing to sustain long-term. Number 2, San Francisco. San Francisco sells innovation and opportunity. For years, it has been seen as one of the most desirable cities in America, with high salaries, strong industries, and global influence. But this is where perception and reality begin to separate. Many still believe that moving to San Francisco guarantees upward mobility. But in recent years, that equation has changed. Housing costs are often described as extremely high, and shifting work patterns have altered how people interact with the city. Remote work played a role, but it also exposed something deeper. It is not uncommon for residents to earn well above national averages and still feel financially constrained, which challenges the idea that high income alone solves the problem. Compared to Los Angeles, San Francisco is smaller and more concentrated, but its cost pressures are often even more intense. And finally, number 1, San Jose. San Jose simply sells stability. It sits in the center of Silicon Valley, surrounded by some of the strongest job markets in the world, and on paper, it offers everything people are told to look for. But this is where the contradiction becomes impossible to ignore. San Jose is often reported as one of the most expensive cities in the country, not just in housing, but in everyday living costs. And unlike San Francisco, it does not offer the same level of cultural density to offset that cost for many residents. Daily life becomes highly calculated. Long work hours, careful budgeting, and limited housing flexibility, even for high earners. There is a sentiment that appears again and again. People are not leaving because they failed there. They are leaving because they succeeded and still found it unsustainable. Compared to every other city on this list, San Jose offers some of the strongest economic opportunity, but it also demands the highest trade-off. And for many, that balance no longer works.